And good morning. I just gave an intro without putting myself in the room, so sorry you missed it. It was epic, I promise you. No, my name is Scott Kennedy. I will be your host. My co-host Nick Kendall is will be here shortly. So we'll break down the game, kind of the X's and O's, a little bit of it. But while it's just us here right now, I kind of want to get into a little bit of the after game. This is a good chance for everybody to come in, use the chat, vent. The folks I work with over at Mile High Huddle, they call themselves the football priests. Just kind of cleansing, get it off, clear your soul. I get it. It's tough to keep seeing this happen. So I want to get through the good, the bad, and the ugly because there was plenty of good to take from this game. There was some bad and there was some ugly for sure. You know, you lose the Saints, you blow a game you should win. It hurts. It's maddening. It makes you angry. I get it. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and I debated whether or not to title this how I did, which was, and then I was like, you know what, we need to. We've talked about this a lot as Arthur Smith has continually gone after the local media. The local media in Atlanta is soft, and that's not necessarily an insult, so to speak. But they're easy. They're beholden to their credential, which are issued by the teams. They don't want to lose access to the coaches. They are, to quote Tyler Durden in Fight Club, sometimes the things you own end up owning you. Well, you own that credential, they own you. This isn't the New York media. This isn't even the LA media, where, I once read TJ Simers bragging about chasing Kobe Bryant down to pester him with a question that he refused to ask. I'm like, okay, you're an a-hole. This is an easy market. And he's gone after DJ Ledbetter. He's gone after Jeff Schultz. He's gone after Michael Rothstein, Josh Kendall. There was someone else that recently went after that he was getting snarky with asking about Tyler Algier and blocking. That's on the YouTube channel. It's like, oh, well, maybe we'll need to invite you into our meeting to make sure we're grading it right. I'm like, that was an easy question. So when he came off yesterday, and he's attacking the media for saying that, low expectations, which frankly, the local media hasn't been the ones to do that for the most part. And if you haven't seen it, I put a couple clips together here real quick. So let me share these real quick.
It's the same guys. This is the same team. You guys wrote our obituary back in May, and you'll continue to write our obituary. Who cares? So write whatever y'all want. The same guys that you guys ranked us 45th. You buried us in May. Bury us again. We don't care. We'll get back to work. Thank you.
I find it interesting that he said, care twice in 17 seconds in that clip. We don't care. Who cares? We don't care. He cares because he's like I said, he's acting like a petulant child about it. This goes off well when things are going well. When things aren't going well, you come off like a petulant child. I've said that a couple times already today. Things were not going to go well for this team. I've been very adamant about this through the offseason that when you're talking about a team with $111 million in payroll, the next closest team is $131 million in payroll. You got $20 million behind the next lowest paid team in the league. This is half a team. It's half a team out there. There's going to be depth issues. There's going to be talent issues. There are 6 players on this team that make more than $4 million. You're missing $100 million in payroll. You could add another 25 players of your highest paid to this roster and be under the salary cap. It's a team that is not built to win now. We know that. I know that. You should know that. So the fact that I see a lot of positives are some of the things I want to talk about. But Arthur Smith coming out and basically blaming the media, you guys are burying us, we're doing this, or quit asking that question about the backup quarterback. This is painful. Dude, enough. Enough. These guys aren't your enemy. They're doing a job. They're pretty easy on you. So enough with it. Because like I said, if you're already this salty in the preseason, what's it going to be like when you start facing some real adversity? We got a small glimpse of it yesterday. This is week 1. This is week 1. You're going out to LA next week. You think it's going to get any easier? Those guys coming off an embarrassing loss with 10 days to prepare, batten down the frickin' hatches, man, because that one could be pretty bad. Now, I want to say good morning to some folks as a chat as it's beginning to open up a little bit. Let me bring up my pages here real quick because if you happen to drop some stars on Facebook, I don't see it unless I'm actually looking at Facebook, and that is a way you can support the show really well. Is on Facebook by dropping some stars. With Keith Robbins has already done this morning. Thank you, Keith, for getting us started, putting some stars in on Facebook. He says good morning. Hayden comes in earlier and says New Year, same Falcons. It feels that way. How does this keep happening? Do you believe in curses? It's hard not to at times, but again, this is half a team. It's going to be hard to hold on to a lead. You don't want to blow that lead, and we'll get into that a little bit for sure. You should have won that game once you had it. Joe Cannon says good morning, and Ray Falcon says, "Bro, it's the same stuff. Dean Pease stopped playing defense, and Marcus Jesus put in Desmond Ritter." Ray, that's part of it. They changed it up a little bit, but one of the things I want to get to is talking about depth. The first real drive that the Saints had came in the beginning. They scored off a Taysom Hill break in the first half. Okay, let's throw that one away. Their first real drive was Jameis Winston going for 5 for 5 in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. It was I wrote it down because I wanted to watch, because I actually listened to this on the radio and then came back and watched the game afterwards. So I was able to see, I'm like, who are the defensive linemen in on that play, on that one? And it was, let's see, the defense did a great job. 3rd and 6, Drew Dahlman, 80 yards on 16 attempts. But it was Dickerson, Anthony Rush, Ogundeji, and Horn. Grady Jarrett was out. Lorenzo Carter was out. There was no McGary in there. It was reserve defensive linemen. Boom, 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 boom. Jameis is now in a rhythm. Now you got a problem. There's such fine margins in winning and losing a game that your reserve team has to be able to go out there and put in a series or two. They went in there and they were Swiss freaking cheese. And Jameis Winston turned into the Jameis Winston that we're used to seeing against the Atlanta Falcons. He has a career rating of about 109 with Tampa against the Falcons, which is better than the career rating. I think I looked this up. It was like he to say he turns into Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers against the Falcons is not an understatement, because he's got the same or even better rating. Well, even after that really slow first half, he still finished with a 111 quarterback rating yesterday. And part of that was because he was 12 of 13 for two touchdowns and 212 yards in the fourth quarter. Now it'll say 12 of 15 on the stat line. 2 of those were spikes. I'm not counting those. Those were intentional. Those are like counting walks against a guy for intentional walks. So on his downfield passes, where he really started setting his back foot in the ground and driving the ball downfield, and frankly, it's pretty. I mean, he was a number 1 pick for a reason. He was driving the ball downfield like we haven't seen in Atlanta in a long time. Matt Ryan he's never had that kind of arm. Mariota threw about 2 passes down the field the whole game. Everything else was quick, short stuff underneath or wide. He wasn't driving the ball. He was driving the ball downfield. But that was a reserve defensive line. That was some substitutions. They couldn't slow them down, and it was game on. All of a sudden, it was game on. And Ray says, it's the same. He stops playing defense. There were subs. Towards the end, I was watching. Okay, how many are you bringing? Are you bringing pressure? Did you stop doing that? He didn't really stop doing that. He may have backed off a little bit too much, but he was still bringing pressure on that. One of the last plays on their last drive, he brought 6 guys, but a crossing route underneath. The Saints made adjustments too. Good, and Dave comes in, says, good morning, Scott, and eventually Nick. Yeah, Nick should be here in about 5 minutes or so. Michael Ranquillo coming in, said, good morning, Scott. I'm foraging the Falcons. Good morning, Michael. Appreciate you being here. Steve Kennedy coming in, says, good morning, sir. Good morning to you, sir. Kenneth Booker, KB, says, good morning. Is this close loss good or a bad thing? They lost a heartbreaker, but they played well, and Cordero Patterson picked up where he left off last season, if not even better. It depends on your point of view. You never want to lose to the Saints, especially like that. Over the long haul, y'all know my expectations for this team are low, So, I think Joe comes in. He says right here, he says, no one gave us a chance to even have the lead, let alone have the game. So I appreciate what I did see yesterday. Exactly. My expectations for this team are low. To play well and see a lot of positives and get a loss for a team that is not going to contend this year, on the whole, is not necessarily a bad thing for this team, because we've been saying all along, you come into 2023 with $100 million in cap room and a top 5 pick. You're going to have $100 million in cap room regardless, once you make your changes. And, it's not that much now is what it's listed. But when you get done maneuvering some spot, moving some guys around, getting Calvin Ridley money back, getting out of Deion Jones, restructuring Jake Matthews again, there's going to be a ton of money. Now, where are you going to be picking? And what are you going to be picking? Is Will Anderson? Will Anderson's a dude. Is he going to be around? Do you need to go after your quarterback? Are you going to get another wide receiver, for God's sakes? So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it sucks. You don't like to see losing like this. Couple mistakes here and there, couple not finishing plays here and there. I find it a little ironic that the center battle all camp was hush hush, top secret, even after they said, yes, we've made a decision, but they sent both players out, Drew Dalman and Matt Hennessy, out to work with the ones that same day. Like, oh, wow, it's a big secret. And then maybe the key play of the game is a center snap exchange. I'm like, how does this keep happening? I think Aiden asked earlier, it's like, well, do you believe in karma? Because I think old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium was built over a graveyard and they forgot to remove the bodies. No, that was poltergeist. Sorry. But there's definitely a cloud that hangs over this team for sure. Dave comes in. He says, and good morning, Dave. He says, thanks for always responding to my comments from the show. I appreciate it. Dave, I appreciate you being here. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Jamal's coming in. Says, good morning, everyone. What's up, my boy, Scott? Oh, good morning. Good morning. So let me people in New Orleans be doing hoodoo during the game. That's what I said. Is there a curse over here? The good thing is, there's at least for one more game, the Falcons can still talk trash to the Saints because they still have a 1-game lead. I think it's 54-53 right now. And Ray says we stopped blitzing them. Why? They didn't so much. They didn't blitz every down. They weren't blitzing every down. They were just getting to them. But in the second half, they start wearing down. Grady Jarrett, we'll get some of the goods. Grady Jarrett was a monster in the first half. He needs help. I noticed what he was in. We'll look at snap counts and stuff, and then I want to compare him to the Saints snap counts, because who wasn't in the game nearly as long was Cam Jordan. That's part of the other good. Caleb McGary erased him for the most part. Caleb McGary had a great game at right tackle. I watched most of the first half, and I keep an eye on McGary. And I kept an eye on Wilkinson at left guard, because those are two of the bigger holes. So at the beginning of each snap, I'm watching McGary, and then I might look over and see Wilkinson. Wilkinson was fine. By the third quarter, I stopped watching McGary because I'm like, he's got this. He's got it under control. He was outstanding. I'm interested to see what PFF thinks when they come out with their grades, because Caleb McGary was really good. Grady Jarrett was really good. This was as active and as quick. He just felt quicker out there. He was really good. So, it wasn't necessarily the Saints made adjustments too. I like I said, on the one of the plays, they were still bringing pressure. Flipping over to the bad while we're staying on the line of scrimmage. I mentioned the reserves. I had high hopes for Taquan Graham, speaking of which, and he was okay. I saw him get some pressures and force. But he didn't have quite the impact that I was expecting. But two guys that had an impact and a negative that on the lines of scrimmage that I was hoping not to see. I understand why Matt Dickerson was available on the waiver wire after the 53-man cuts. He was a problem. Him and Ade Ogundeji on the left side of that line, with Ade trying to hold the edge, and then Matt Dickerson at left end, was a problem. That was a problem that the Saints figured out and exploited. The right side of that line was of the Saints line at right tackle. So the left side of the Falcons defensive line was a problem. Ade Ogundeji was a problem. I don't know how quick Ebiketie can be ready, but he's ready. It's like, oh, well, he's not ready to play. What are you losing? You really can't be any worse at setting the edge than Ade was yesterday. And you're not going to get the pass rush that you're going to get from Ebiketie. So whatever snaps you're given to Ogundeji, flip them. If it was, we'll check them out. But if it was 60-40, 75-25, 70-30, flip them. I want Ebiketie in there. I don't want Ogundeji taking snaps away from Ebiketie. And Dickerson, I said it from the beginning. I thought Abdullah Anderson did a much better job, did a very good job on the defensive line in the preseason. I don't have all the information. Maybe there was some stuff behind the scenes, but Anderson held the line a lot better, was better laterally. Anything you're looking for in that other defensive end spot as a reserve, I saw him do better than what I saw from Matt Dickerson yesterday. That was a problem. And then Reyes says, we're up 13 with the ball. All he has to do is take a first down. He doesn't go down and tries to take on the Honey Badger. Yeah, inside the 5. And he already had the first down. Is to go down and, like you said, he has the first down, is just go down at that point, and it's just about game over. Marcus said he kind of lost, track of where he was on the field and wasn't sure he had the first down and was trying to put forth the extra effort. Okay, Marcus, I forgive you. I understand. But what does that come with? What does that say? What does that say to you? What it says to me is a lack of experience. Okay. Lack of field awareness. Now, he's played football for a long time, but he hadn't started a game since 2019. It's been a while. He was, once he lost his job to Tannehill, he never came back, and he didn't start a game in Las Vegas, at least not last year. He may have done the year before, but the year when he came in, no, he didn't start in Vegas. When he came in 2 years ago and had a good game, it was as a substitute, and had a good game when Carr got injured. Yeah, that was a tough one. Put the ball away for sure. Jason says all he has to do is not fumble and he's got a first. Yes, he does. Mark Schrader coming in saying good morning. And on that note, I want to say good morning to my co-host, Nick Kendall, who is joining us from Seattle. And good morning, Nick. You're a little fuzzy this morning, my friend, just a little fuzzy. So may have been a long weekend here, either that or my eyes are a little fuzzy because it was definitely a long weekend.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But here I am, standard 480p. Maybe I should put that down on low definition. Oh man, regardless, yeah, no, it was a good weekend, a lot of fun. Man, I'm still miserable from the Iowa game this Saturday, but what can you do? And I guess sorry about the loss, Falcons fans. It was a rough one, but man, that you guys have, I guess, kind of used to game outcomes like that. It was a little bit rough.
So what was your gut reaction to the game as far as, we hit the positives, and again, I already talked Arthur Smith's petulance. I was like, let's handle this while it's just me in here. And Nick and I can help, break down some of the game. Because Arthur Smith has been going after the local media for a while now, and he's been super grumpy and childish and all that stuff during the preseason when it's all friendly.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse, dude. This is a team that's built for 5-12. Over the long haul. Yeah, they should have beat the Saints yesterday. You should be mad. Don't take it out on the local media. They didn't do anything wrong. They're not the ones that just bragged about controlling the line of scrimmage for 3.5 quarters and then punting the ball on 4th and 1 at midfield. That wasn't the local media, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, no, disappointing. I mean, God, we said it last time. The grumpy, get off my lawn coach only goes as far as you're winning. Bill Belichick can get away with it because he's Bill Belichick. But if you are coaching a 5-12 team, which everybody wants to give you the benefit of the doubt, being a, rude to the media is going to make it pretty easy for them to paint that picture the other way. So I don't know. I just would be careful with that. But overall, I thought the Falcons game was pretty good. Obviously, the end is extremely disheartening, but there was a lot of positives to take away. I thought Mariota looked solid, competent. I thought the defensive front and the offensive line looked better than they had, especially with the Falcons' ability to run the football. I mean, let's not take away how good the Saints have been at stopping the run over the last few seasons. One of the best teams in football. And to have Cordell Patterson run for, God, what was it? Pull it up here. 22 carries, 120 yards. Marcus Mariota, 12 carries, 72 yards. I mean, that is no easy task. So there's a lot of positives from this game as well that I saw. And Falcons fans should be excited to continue to watch this year.
And talking about, Mariota going down inside the 10 after he has a first down and taking a hit and fumbling on a drive that could have iced the game for the most part. Ray says, that's bad quarterback IQ. Yeah, I agree. It's whether he's played a ton or not recently, I agree. You saw a little bit very first carry of preseason, one game. He goes up hard up the line and takes a shot. All right, Marcus. This is these boys will knock the ball away from you. You mentioned Cordell Patterson. Now I actually put Cordell Patterson in both categories as far as the good and the bad. The reason why is because he had about 90 of those yards in the first half. And I don't want him carrying the ball 22 yards a game. So one of the things I thought was the bad was before the first snap even happened, and Dave mentioned it right here. I did not get the Tyler Algier inactive. So running back Tyler Algier, who looked really good during the preseason, who can be a bell cow running back, was left inactive because of special teams, evidently. And then they really only had two running backs on the team. They had Patterson, who isn't a full-time running back, and they had Damian Williams, who's never rushed for 500 yards in a season and is a little bit on the injury-prone side and goes down in the first quarter. Now you're relying on Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson is not going to survive this season touching the ball 30 times a game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, you got to protect him for sure, especially with Cordell Patterson's age and just experience rushing the football. So you do protect him somewhat because the rushing quarterback aspect, that's another feature of the run game, which I really appreciate with the Falcons, a quarterback that's a dual threat and a playmaker, but definitely a bummer to see Mariota fumble it there in that situation. I'm just kind of combing over the stats. What are some of the key outputs here? Obviously, outside, I always like to say outside of points, the number one indicator of who's going to win the football game is the turnover margin. Mm-hmm. Falcons lose the turnover margin by 1, but there's your game right there.
Oh, a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, and for the most part, Nick, that fumbled snap on 3rd and 1 may as well have been a turnover.
Yep.
That was they had to give the ball away right after that. That may as well have been a turnover. I just put the block on Tim Allen, who came in. I'm like, listen, I don't mind Saints fans coming in here and having a discussion, but realize you're in someone else's house. And if you read something you don't like, don't respond back with negativity of your own. Just smile and wave. Like I said, I've gone to a Dodgers game with a Chipper Jones jersey on and sat in the outfield where it can get kind of rough. Oh, Chipper, you guys suck. I know. We're just trying to survive the day. Thank you. I cheer for my team. I like fans of other team, but I don't like trash talk. I think it's boring. Joe Cannon says, can we talk about Grady? We did. I thought Grady Jarrett was fantastic.
He had a great game.
Especially in the first half. But they need help. They need help. Nick, I said that first drive where Winston started warming up, he was 5 for 5, got down the field in about 75 seconds. It was a reserve defensive line that was in. Matt Dickerson is a problem. Ade Ogundeji is a problem. Anthony Rush getting too many snaps is a problem. He's big. He's 360 pounds. Timmy Horn is an undrafted rookie. That was your defensive line.
Yeah.
That is a problem. That's going to let teams back into games. And that's when we start talking about where does the depth and the talent on this team start to become a problem.
Yep. No, absolutely. It was unfortunate to see the Falcons do that at the end, but I don't want to be that guy after week 1, but this is the type of game, being a Broncos fan for many years here, looking back, you're like, okay, well, if we would have won that game, we'd have been picking 9. Now, because we lost it, we're picking 3. The difference between picking 9 and picking 3 is, that's multiple. Well, how much did the 49ers give up to move up from 12 to 3? 3 first-round picks or something?
3 first-round picks. Now, this one hurts for now. It's just kind of like last year. Last year was you finished the season with the Saints. You don't want to lose the Saints, and it sucks that you lose the Saints. But come April, we moved up 6 spots, and I don't remember really how that game even went because this isn't a team that's going to contend. I remember the playoff losses. I remember those that
Yeah.
matter. But as Dave says, I have no real expectations, but I'm not doing the moral victory thing. Me neither. I'm not. This is a game they should have won. Everybody knows that, including the Saints. This is a game the Falcons should have won. The story isn't about the Saints. It's about the Falcons blowing another lead and losing a game they should have won. And that stuff's got to stop. Now, I will defend, and I did defend Arthur Smith on this. This keeps happening. He's awful in these games. No, he's not. He is now 7-3 in one-score games. That's not bad. I'll take that. If you want to see the problem, go look at Scott Frost in Nebraska and 0-10 in one-score games, and now he's out of work. And good on you, Georgia Southern. I'm with as many people as we have watch a show. I'm pretty sure we have some Georgia Southern alum in here. So, congrats to y'all. I know that was a big one.
Yeah.
We're not doing the moral victory thing for here, but we will take away some of the positives, some of the things. One guy we haven't even mentioned yet. We're 26 minutes into the show, Nick, and we have not said the name Drake London.
Yeah, stood out. Let me pull up the stats here right now. 5 receptions, 74 yards, 31 yard on 7 targets. I mean, he had unfortunately, he was the pass catcher that the Falcons were relying on in that game and moved the ball pretty well. Not a high volume with just 7 targets. Excuse me. But I thought he looked well. I thought he looked competent, and love to see his usage up a lot of different spots across the field. And I think he's going to have a hell of a season. I'm excited to see him. And this was one without even getting much red zone work.
I thought he was fantastic. He looks like a number one. He lined up outside a lot. Another one of Arthur Smith's great ones. As they were questioning the pick and what they see about him. Did you run the 40? Well, we did. Yeah, he did for us. And he was like, well, have you seen him play the slot? I'm like, I don't care about a 6'5" receiver. He better be able to play in the frickin' slot if you're taking him number 8. Can he play outside? Can he do a dig route over the middle and survive? Yes, and yes. Check.
Yeah.
I've said, I know we've got a bunch of Bronco fans in here for fantasy football. I might take Drake London over any Broncos receiver. Just because of the targets that he's going to get and the action he's going to get. It's Kyle Pitts, and if you double Kyle Pitts and take him away, it's Drake London. That's really it. Olamide Zaccheaus can do some decent things, but it's going to be those two guys. He had 75 yards, extrapolate that over 17 games, and it's a 1,300-yard season. That is within the realm of possibility for him, for sure. Let me see. Joe had a comment I wanted to get to because I agree. He says, can we speak on the secondary? The cornerbacks didn't look comfortable while the safeties really showed up for us. Michael Thomas had a couple pitch and catches from Jameis Winston that no one was going to stop. AJ is there. When your hands in the face and up through between their hands, the coverage is good. But these guys throw for 5,000 yards a season. A good offense is going to beat a good corner. AJ Terrell didn't play poorly. Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston just made some plays. So I'm not ready to throw it in on Terrell. Casey Hayward, however, did not have a good game. I don't think he played as well as I would like. Hopefully that will get better. Richie Grant and Jalen Hawkins did play well. Richie Grant played really well. It was nice to see him flying all over the field and get that second-year leap. Hopefully we won't have to wait a year before we see inside linebacker Troy Anderson play some, and we don't have to redshirt all of our second-round picks.
Yeah. No, it was speaking of second-round picks, I thought Ebiketie had a pretty good year this game. Had a sack in that game, and also Graham coming out with a sack, I believe, on the same drive, if my memory serves me correct. So Falcons, the consistent pressure, not quite there, and I know you're talking about these stats on the defensive line, the players that are there, but it's not like it was last year. I mean, you see body types and abilities that were not even close to being ready last year flashing. So just week 1, all those guys are going to be, I expect more and more snaps, more and more impact as the year goes on. But Ebiketie and Graham especially, those were 2 that I had circled before the game. Wow, these are 2 guys that I want to watch to see what impact they had. Saw good flashes from them, and defensive line, a lot of it is about the flashes.
No, last year it was Grady, Jarrett, and then nobody else. Dante Fowler was okay across the front 5. That was their starters.
Yeah.
And then it was like negative, meh, Grady, Jarrett. This year, across your front 5, you're competent. all the way across. Taquan Graham can do a job. Anthony Rush can do a job. Grady Jarrett was really good. Lorenzo Carter had a pretty good game too. He was okay. Ebiketie can play. There's your front five. What's behind them though is now, oh no, it's a little scary. And when you have to rely on those guys, at least 2, probably 3 series worth of snaps a game, that's where you're winning and losing games this season for the Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately. Let me see. There was, and Dave says, let's be honest, guys, at this point, Avery Williams is wasting a roster spot. I don't mind one designated for a return guy, and I thought he looked really well. I thought he did good as a return man. I'll tell you who was wasting a return spot. A roster spot. Would you have rather had Tyler Algier or Felipe Franks yesterday? That's not in hindsight. I know the answer to that one going into the game.
Can Felipe Franks play like Taysom Hill for whatever God knows reason? That's had a good game. It always seems to have a decent game against the Falcons. But yeah, no. Algier, especially with Damian Williams getting injured and I believe out of the game pretty early.
Yeah. So, going in, like I said, you're going in with Damian Williams, who has an injury track record, Avery Williams, who's not a running back, who played a ton, actually. He was actually on the offensive side of things a lot. So when we start looking towards building the Falcons, towards forging the Falcons, you definitely need another 2 playmakers on offense. Algier, I want him on the freaking roster. Okay, let's see what he can do. He is your running back. I can give him the ball and trust him. I can't say that right now with Damian Williams, and Damian Williams is cheap anyway. It's not like we're talking prime Gerald Riggs here for you old fellas like me. This is a guy that's never rushed for 500 yards in his career. Why is he being treated like he with kid gloves? It's a little odd. And then I don't want Avery Williams to be my slot receiver yet. He's not ready. That tells me a little bit about where this team is. And we know Drake London should rise the room just a little bit, but going in, this wide receiver room was nobody's. At the time of the draft, I think there was 1 catch for 12 yards on the Falcons roster at wide receiver. And that was like Frank Darby, who's now on the practice squad. And Michael says, how did rookie linebacker Troy Anderson, how did he do for the Falcons? I don't know that he played much. If he was in on maybe on special teams, but the word now is he's probably going to get a redshirt year, kind of the same way Richie Grant did last year while he's learning Dean Peace's scheme. Every once in a while, I'd like to just turn him loose with that athleticism. And I don't want it to be, tipping the card. Oh, he's in, watch the linebacker blitz. But, just man up on somebody, go in and say, okay, you've got Kamara. This is man coverage. You go where he goes, and if he's dropping back, and use that athleticism, get him in there. Again, this isn't a team that's going to contend. So let's not have his first meaningful snaps be next season when you may have a chance. When you may have a chance to start knocking on the door of the playoffs. Let's see. And then Joe Cannon comes in. He says, does anybody know why Pitts was so quiet yesterday? He was targeted 7 times. One was a really nice catch out of bounds. And, but again, Marcus Mariota isn't known as the most accurate passer in the world. It's not his game of driving the ball downfield. I'd like to scheme ways to get him the ball besides bubble screens. We need to try and find a way to get Pitts the ball. But he's going to be targeted for, with bracketed coverage all the time until you prove that someone else can beat you. And Drake London will help. Drake London will definitely help. And if you can stick to the running game, because for the most part, McGary was awesome yesterday. Caleb McGary was freaking good. Nick, I've said before that I like that, and it also pisses me off that it's a contract year. What happened to the previous 3 years? What have you been doing? But he's earning himself in the neighborhood of an 8-figure contract, Nick. $10 million a year for a $27 million, 27-year-old right tackle isn't out of the question.
He's going to get paid. I think you just go through the list of right tackles in the league and you after about 7 names, you're like, oh my God, what is going on? Who is this? So if he's even, solid there, somebody's going to pay him big money. I mean, Rob Havenstein just got a massive contract and he's just okay for the Rams. So
I would think, get paid. It'll never happen this way, but it's like, how about a discount, Caleb, for the crap that you've thrown out the previous 3 years? We want paid back on that, but he was on a rookie contract. So he wasn't all that expensive. So he is But he was really good. Chris Lindstrom, beast. He was really good. Dahlman, for the most part, had a good game. The center stop exchange notwithstanding. Eli Wilkinson was solid. And honestly, I didn't watch Jake Matthews much. I'm like, okay, we know what we've got there. That's not a question mark. He's pretty competent. I didn't watch Jake much in the first go-round that I've watched this game. But going into the season, the two holes, left guard and right tackle, did you really address them? With a journeyman right tackle converted to left guard and Eli Wilkinson, he played fine. He was fine. And Caleb McGary has taken a step up. He looks really good.
Yeah, and I thought that the run game in general, big positive from moving from Matt Ryan to Marcus Mariota. Just the lanes were bigger. Looked like the Saints are having to play much more disciplined on the back end. And Mariota took 0 sacks in this game, staying on time, big time for the offense, helps them move the ball. And then you're not in an obvious pass rush situation behind the sticks, or I guess pass rush for the other team. So again, Matt Ryan had the best game yesterday at the Texans, ending up in a tie. LOL. But overall, I thought the offense looked fun, and I'm excited to see what the Falcons can do going forward. I agree with your point. The offensive line looked better than I thought they would, especially against a Saints front that is really, really good. I mean, has been good. We'll see how they play this season. It's a new year. But
strap it on next week. You got Aaron Donald in the middle of the field.
Yep.
It'll be a different challenge, but still, it's a good challenge. And you were pushing both guys back. Looked at the same step chart because I'm like, all right, was that the starter that I just saw got put on skates? And it was Christian Ringo, so he was their backup, number 57. Well, a little bit later, I say, okay, what about 99? He's getting put on skates. That's Shy Tuttle. And that was a lot of it. That was Wilkinson and or Dahlman handling those guys. They couldn't do that last year. Nick, you remember game 1, we were talking about, forced errors last week where Dahlman about got his back broken by Vernon Hargrave. On a play. He gets bent over backwards so badly. I'm like, oh my God. And then on the very next play is a false start. I'm like, he's scared to death. Of course. He held his own. At worst, he held his own. Very positive. Very positive there. But and I left this up here for Joe. Michael Walker wearing the green dot at inside linebacker. Not quite sure what to expect. Has been good in coverage as a rookie. Last year was a little bit quiet. Didn't play a ton. And this year, coming in as a starter, played really well. So, again, if you're talking Michael Walker, Rashaan Evans, they left Kwiatkowski inactive. That'll tell you one thing. And they're not playing Troy Anderson. The inside linebacker position looks like it's in pretty good hands this year.
Yeah. And that's another reason that you shouldn't be too upset that Troy Anderson's getting a little bit of time. Now, I kind of disagree with you as far as getting him out there with his athleticism. I think there's got to be a mug look with him lined up over an A gap or something where he's the stand-up outside linebacker rushing, because you're a big athlete, not big for edge, but still, you're an athlete. Pin your ears back. There's no thinking. There's just go attack, like that kind of thing, where coverage is a little bit more nuanced, especially from the linebacker spot. But Mikael Wright, I thought, looked pretty good. I thought Evans looked pretty good as well. Good job. But he had the interception, correct? Kind of bounced up.
He had the fumble. There was a strip fumble on there was almost a sack, and then they got it off. I think it was to Kamara. Kamara then fumbles it right into the arms of Rashaan Evans. So a really positive play. No, we actually agree on this, Nick. I just with Troy Anderson, the simple part of this was don't put him in a spot where he has to think. If you're out there and it's third down and you're not going to blitz him, single coverage, just man up. You're a spy. But get him out there where there's only you have one job and that's it. Just to get his feet wet, whether that's line him up and blitzing right away, help put him at an edge and let him go get the quarterback, or like I said, if you don't want to have a tell knowing that he's going to blitz every time, then just put him in man. Just forget everything else. Just put him in man, and be done with it.
Yep. Final thought.
Night Rider comes and he says it was Mark Ingram. Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember if it was Kamara or Ingram, but it was a good play. I do know it was Evans that came away with the ball, and it was off a little screen after good pressure. The Falcons had 4 sacks in the first half. The bad, they had 0 in the second half. But 4, they only had 18 last year, and they said it during the broadcast. But y'all heard me bang that drum all last year. I called that impossibly bad. 18 sacks is almost impossibly bad. It's like, wait, it's impossible to get 18 sacks. The next worst team was 29. How did you only get 18? You should be able to have the center step on the quarterback's foot and just touch him down for a sack 3 times a season, for God's sakes. And you only got 19, 18. So yeah, 4. And it was from, if I'm not mistaken, 4 different people too. Which is a good sign. I think Ebiketie got 1, Carter got 1, Sheffield got 1. Not Sheffield. Who's Sheffield? Grady Jarrett, Kendall Sheffield. Grady Jarrett got 1, and then I know Richie Grant got some pressure in, but I'm not sure if he got the other sack. But it was definitely good. And James coming in on Facebook. He says, "What's good, y'all? Rise up from Kentucky." Good morning, James. Good morning, James. I hope you're doing well. But hit the chat before we get out of here. We've got a few more minutes left, and actually it is time to go. I had 9:45 in my mind. So hit the comments on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, pop on over to YouTube for me. That's where it's just easier for me to find the comments over here. Ray, Joe, Chris, haven't seen Chris Walker yet. So Chris Walker, pop on over to YouTube. Let me see. I'll grab the link and drop it in the chat. It's just easy for me to follow the flow of the conversation over there. And I want to hear what y'all are thinking, because again, I titled this a little bit controversial, so to speak. The title of it was, Arthur Smith's Petulant Child Act is wearing thin. It is. I was like, you know what? It needs to be said, because the fans that were defending, "Oh, I love his attitude," a week ago are the same ones that were pissed yesterday. Quit blowing leads. You suck. You should have been fired. All this kind of stuff. I think Arthur Smith is a good coach. I like what I see Terry Fontenot doing, that they've been able to put a competent team on the field with both hands tied behind their back. I like what I see. I like the direction. But Nick, he ain't going to survive if this is how he's going to act all season, because this could be a low point. Blowing a lead like this feels like a low point, but from a record perspective, it could get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we got to get going. A few more things. I just like to go over the key metrics, and anything that really stands out as a discrepancy. Like, okay, what do we need to look for in the next few games? Number one that really stuck out to me was turnovers. Obviously, you lose a turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. But next two for me, and these are both defensive related. The Falcons ran overall 201 yards. Great. That's awesome. 5.3 yards per carry. That's not in the danger zone at all. 38 rushes. Saints with only 19 carries, 7.9 yards per carry. The efficiency there is concerning. Not obviously.
One of them was on that big play from Taysom Hill. So throw out the 2 plays from Taysom Hill, but he was going at the right edge, where I said you've got a little bit of a problem. He was going off right tackle, and Adeogundeji is there, and him setting that edge is a bit of a problem, and the other left end is a bit of a problem.
Yep. I mean, if you take out those, it's obviously going to change a lot, because it's only 19 runs, but still, that is a crazy high efficiency metric.
Yeah.
Want to watch for that. The other one going forward, the Saints 3 for 3 in the red zone. Falcons 2 for 4. You got to be able to come away with points, and at some point, the defense has got to flex a little bit and stop them from scoring touchdowns. Neither happened in this game. You point at the lack of execution there at the end all you want, but if one of those is a field goal instead of a touchdown, you're talking about a win there. You got to be able to flex there in the red zone.
Yeah, and avoid the stupid stuff, man. A center snap exchange, that can't happen. Mariota, go down, protect the ball, brother. You know better than that.
Get home.
That cost a game.
Yeah.
That cost a game. Wasn't just that, but that's a play in your hands that you could have sealed the game. But we've got to get out of here. Nick and I are going to head over and preview Broncos in Seattle on the Mile High Huddle YouTube channel for Broncos for Breakfast. Want to thank everybody for being here. We got a bunch of folks watching, so make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and or share button. And again, hit the comments. I dropped the YouTube link for my Facebook crowd on there. It's an easier way to communicate. I want to thank Keith Robbins for coming in with some stars early on. Dropping stars or super chats is a great way to support the show and make sure that we're able to keep doing this. So we're able to do this because of you, and we thank you for it. We will be back on Wednesday morning as we start taking a look towards the LA Rams, and maybe we'll look back and we'll see if there's some roster moves over the next 48 hours. It won't surprise me if there are. I don't remember there being a corresponding move to Abdullah Anderson getting cut, he might get re-signed. I think for some reason I feel like there's a 52. I don't remember there being another move. So there's another move coming in. I'm a fan of Abdullah Anderson. If they're not going to keep him, I hope somebody does. He deserves to be playing in this league. On that note, thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you Wednesday morning.